Okay, this might be a little bit weird at first, but I'm going to talk to you from my mirror because my camera won't switch directions while I'm filming, and I don't want to break up my stream of thought consciousness to take different shots. So I'm just going to start by talking into my mirror. So what I've been working on this afternoon is some color palettes. I've been experimenting with 4 colors, the primary yellow, the Quinacridone rose, or Quin rose if you want to call it something shorter and easier, the Cyan, and the Ultramarine. Most of what I've been trying to figure out is how to make Cyan and Ultra play nice together, because they're both blue, but they're very different. Cyan is warm, it's much more green. If a blue is closer to green, you call it a warm blue. If it's closer to violet, you call it a cool blue, because those are the colors that sits in between on the color wheel. Maybe I should talk about the color wheel sometime. That would make these color talks easier to understand, probably. Yeah, so Ultra is much more violet, and so if you can imagine, those two blues clash if you don't mix them quite right, or don't use enough violet or green in the painting to meld them together. So I've been trying to figure out that puzzle because I want cool mountains off in the distance, but then I want this really bright, warm sunrise sky. So I'm trying to... Cyan just makes watery, weird-looking mountains, and then Ultra just makes a really icy sky, which isn't the mood I'm going for. So I don't want to stick with just one in my painting. I want to figure out how to use both. So that's what this video is about. I did a little practice trying to meld them together, so I'm going to show you what I did. Going back over here. Okay. So this is what my palette looks like. I guess I've been mostly on this side so far. So that's the Cyan, that's the Ultra. You can see how green this one is and how violet this one is. These are different blends of them with this one, which is the rose. There I just have a tiny little bit of the primary yellow going on. This is mixed with white. These kind of faint smudgy ones are the same colors mixed with this, which, oh my goodness, I will never paint without this again. It's kind of weird and gross, really. This is called Liquin, or medium. As you can see here, it's really useful for making your paintings dry faster, because oil paint on its own will take, I don't know, depending on how thickly you put it on, up to a week or 2 weeks to dry, but with this, it'll be done in a matter of days, which is incredible. The thing I mostly use it for is glazing, which you can kind of see here. So this patch of color there is pure Quin Rose, but over here this is Quin mixed with the Liquin. And you can see just how much lighter and interesting it looks without any white. This is what happens when you mix white with stuff. It gets super opaque, which means light doesn't pass through it. You can't see the canvas at all through it, but over here you can see the canvas. This looks much more lifelike and is way more interesting to paint with and to look at when you're done. So this kind of diagonal band of colors is what I made today. Yeah, so let me go over to this painting I made. Hey, that's what I made. Can you see the warm and cool blue together? This is kind of tricky to figure out. Mostly I just did it while I was doing it to see if it would work. So the mountains here are glazes. There's no white at all in this little thumbnail. I guess for scale, this is how big it is next to my hand. Not very big. Well, not very big compared to that. See? You can see my entire reflection in it. Crazy. Wow. Anyway, not thinking about that. Yeah, so there's no white in this. All the light colors come from different concentrations of pigment in the glaze. The mountains are mostly ultramarine and Quin Rose, and the sky is mostly cyan. but I blended Cyan and an Ultra together for this first layer here, so that both blues would be represented. That way, in your eye, in your brain, the blues play together better, but you still get an interesting contrast. You have the cool blue, which is great for distance illusions, and then you have that warm sky. I really want that warm sky, like the sun is just melting away the night. And I just don't quite get that with a cold blue, so that's why I chose the warm blue. Anyway, that's my attempt to make warm and cold work together. We'll see. I think it's more successful than this attempt. This one's even smaller. That is a painting without any Ultra in it. That's all Cyan. It just looks like water, like really poorly painted waves. I love the colors. It's not mountainy, which is what I really need. So I put the warm on the top here instead of on the bottom, and introduce a cool blue to take the warm blue's place on the bottom. So, yeah. This, okay, imagine this kind of in this area, taking a weird, like, top half middle quarter of this canvas, like, oh, right there, like, huge. Just imagine that. Okay, that's what I'm going for. Anyway, I've talked way too long, so bye!